Good morning, everybody. Friday morning, February the 28th, 2020. My name's Dave Mcrae. It's 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Of course, it's also 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time anywhere where you are in Eastern Standard Time. Son of a bitch. Today it is an all Q&A. And let me just close down Photoshop. I had Photoshop open for some strange reason. There we go. And, well, not some strange reason. Obviously, I was doing the thumbnail. How are you guys doing? It's an all Q&A. Happy Friday, Mcrazies. Danita Brown is already ready. She's saying Mcrazies. I got to make that official announcement. I have to actually make the official announcement that you are all my children now. And there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. I thought, you know what? It's Friday. Friday, working for the weekend. Isn't that the... Oh, poor kid. She's not a kid now anymore. But that is it's Friday. The weekend is upon us, and I thought, why not? Let's do a all Q&A. I thought that would be fun to do. And let me close some of these windows down here. Just don't want any dinging going off, any notifications unnecessarily interrupting my flow for the show, if you know what I'm talking about. So, if you guys have any questions, it is Free for All Friday. Yes, that's what it is, folks. Q&A time. You want to talk some Halloween? Let's talk Halloween. Let's always talk Halloween. You want to talk Elm Street, Friday the 13th? Hey, the Candyman trailer dropped yesterday. I did do a bit of a live, I did do a live sort of reaction to it yesterday. We could talk about the Candyman trailer. We could talk about, The Invisible Man is getting some great reviews. The Invisible Man getting really good reviews. So that's always good. That's always good. You know what? I also got Skype open. What do I have everything open here for? Let me just sign out of Skype. Yes, close that down. All right. Strange. Why I have so many things open here this morning? Whatever you guys want to talk about, let's talk about it. It is Friday morning, and I am excited to talk about it. Whatever you guys want to talk about, I am ready to go. Hang on a sec here. I'm just looking at a few things I have up here. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. What are you going to do? Let's see here. Let's go to the chat. We got Bill Hennessy says, "Hi, Dave. Have you ever watched The Clone Wars? Honestly, some of the best are..." I have not... Let's see here. Let's go to the chat. We got Bill Hennessy says, "Hi, Dave. Have you ever watched The Clone Wars? There we go. That's much better. That was my phone. Which is logged into the chat. I was like, who the hell is that talking? What's going on? Shut up. Anyway, no, I've never watched The Clone Wars. I'm not a big cartoon guy. And when I say that, I mean, I love Family Guy. I love watching some old school Looney Tunes because I'm a big Daffy Duck fan. I think they're just hilarious. But I have I don't know. I'm not. And I guess, when it comes to Pixar, I mean, they deliver some great stuff. There's just something about watching when something starts in live action, it's hard for me to then make the transition to cartoon. It's not that cartoon... I don't know what it is. It's just when something lives in live action, it's difficult for me to go to cartoon. And to be honest with you, I don't care. See, I'm not you see, that's the thing. I'm not at one time I thought I was a sweaty, hardcore Star Wars nerd. I don't give a fuck about the Clone Wars. I really don't. Okay? Like, as far as I'm concerned, they happened. That's great. Like, if I fought alongside your father in the Clone Wars, and, blah, blah, blah. That's great. That's cool. But I don't need to see I don't care to watch this whole thing about. Now, that doesn't mean it's not good. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's just one of those things where I'm like, I don't really care about it. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. I just don't care. And maybe that's I don't know. It's just one of those, I just have a hard time watching Star Wars cartoon. I don't know. It started in live action. That's where the movies are. That's where I just think everything should be live action. I just think I just think what's happening is that the universe is getting so big. It's getting big for its own good that they have to fill in gaps with cartoons, comic books, and books. Because everything is so, big now. And it's just, I'm just not that guy. I just, my buddy Bruce liked the Clone Wars. He said it was really good. And you know what? If I actually took the time to sit down and watch it, I might think it's pretty good. I just don't care to make that time. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things, where you're like, I just don't care to make that time. I just don't care. For me, knowing that the Clone Wars happened and sort of the gist of what it was all about, it's fine. I just don't need to know. I don't need to see it, I guess. And I certainly don't need to see it in a cartoon. And I'm not saying the cartoon's shitty. I'm just saying I just don't need to see that. But then again, I'm also not a big reader, right? I mean, I don't read books. I've never read a book cover to cover. I'm dead serious. I've never read a book cover to cover. Now, I obviously can read. I mean, I read for a living, but I've never read a book cover to cover. It's one of the reasons why, as a voice actor, I have never done an audiobook. I don't want to do audiobooks. My hat goes off to those who do. It's not my area of expertise. It's not something that I care to do. It does not appeal to me. Now, if you're an avid reader and you love to read, maybe it would. Although you're not just reading. I mean, you are performing as well. But it's just one of those things where I just have, oh my God, it just seems so extraneous and monotonous and redundant and boring. You know what I mean? I've never read a book cover to cover. I've never read fiction or nonfiction cover to cover. I tend to start a book and then about, 4 or 5 chapters in, 50, 60 pages in, I lose interest or I find myself, my mind wandering and then I start to dance around and see if there's any other chapters or, and that's nonfiction. I've never even attempted to read a fiction book cover to cover. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was, I don't know. I don't know. I can get online and read articles and I guess I'm more of a nonfiction-y guy. You know what I mean? Now, that doesn't mean that I don't recognize the value in the fiction stories that have shaped our culture and our society and have been the catalyst and the foundation for some of the great mythology and stories that have been presented to us in cinema and in the world of entertainment. I mean, those are two completely different things, right? I don't want you to get the impression that I'm scoffing. I'm too good for. No, not at all. It's just, I don't know what it is. I've always been, I don't know if it goes back to being a kid and I had trouble reading as a kid. Of course, not anymore, obviously. So I didn't like reading. And I don't know. I just would rather watch the movie or watch something, like I have a lot of books that I've started, mostly nonfiction though. I don't read fiction books. And they're mostly like just really like interesting, deeper things, right? And I'll start at the beginning, but I never end up finishing. It's kind of, I always kind of just dance around. It's very strange. So when it comes to cartoons, it kind of have that, like, it feels like, why would I watch the cartoon when I don't want to watch the cartoon. I don't want to watch a cartoon. I'm 40. I don't want to watch a cartoon, unless it's Family Guy or something like that started as a cartoon. But I don't know, taking Star Wars to cartoon on television just feels like a step back to me, even though I recognize that everybody says it's fantastic. It's the visual, it's the presentation, right? It feels kind of, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's just how I feel about it anyway. Let me see. But I hear good things. The conspiracy trifecta, says Dave. Do you have any oceanfront property in Arizona, Dave? Do I have any oceanfront property in Arizona? Yes, because Arizona is definitely, surrounded by ocean. And I have a property that is, it's about a $55 million mansion right on the ocean there. And people come and hang out. And, we go for drives to the Grand Canyon and then back to my place right on the Arizona border next to the Pacific Ocean. And then on the other side, you have the Atlantic Ocean. So, it's just fucking amazing, I'm telling you. DMT Infinity says, can we talk about that fam tree and the two friends who lost their friendship over Halloween? Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, fuck you, man. Come on. I still got to do another one of those. Let me see. Terrell Sims retracted his message. Movie Chat and More says, hi, Dave. Do you sometimes consider that you may overthink the Halloween franchise, lessening your enjoyment of the sequels? No, because I think I have I have no issues enjoying movies for what they are. And I can certainly do that. But one of the reasons why I started this, again, I've had this channel for years, since 2006. But one of the reasons why I started putting my face out there like this was because I saw a void in the Halloween space. And there were other people talking Halloween before I came along, but most people, not everybody, but most people were sort of recycling the same things. They're just talking about the same shit that we've all, heard. Very few people were diving into the deeper layers of Halloween. And very few people were even saying that Halloween was supposed to be a one-off film. And that's not my opinion. That's an actual fact. So, I mean, it's, and people weren't talking about that. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't know that, but they weren't talking about it. You know what I mean? People weren't talking about, the deeper layers of the boogeyman and the shape and the symbolism and, all that kind of stuff. So I'm fascinated by that kind of stuff. So I wanted to talk about it, but that doesn't mean that I'm, a buzzkill and a party pooper and can't enjoy, silly sequels, as well. Yeah, of course I can shut it off and just enjoy something for what it is. But I think as I get older and being a part of the entertainment industry and I don't know, it's just I just think that there's so much garbage out there and it just would be nice for people to have I don't know. I just think that it's I see people bitching and complaining. And again, I'm not singling anybody out here. I'm just saying I see so many people bitching and complaining about the products they get as if they wonder why they get them. It's like, well, it's because you go see them. It's because you watch them. They wouldn't make them if you didn't go see them. What happens when a movie bombs the box office? Do they make another one? No. So if you don't that's really where it's like the box office is the voting booth, right? Like, in politics, they'll say, well, don't vote for them or make your voice heard at the voting booth. Well, that make your voice heard at the box office, but people still go to see it. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I just thought that I brought a different perspective to the table, and I'm very sort of passionate about it and passionate about the things I talk about. Certainly I do believe in what I'm talking about. And I always try to do my best to be informed about what I'm talking about. But that doesn't mean that I don't have emotional opinions either. And it certainly doesn't mean that I can't enjoy fluffy sequels for the sake of the fluffy sequel. But I like calling out, the garbage, because if I don't do it, who's going to do it? I mean, there are people that do it. It's just a, figure of speech, right? It's one of those things where it's like, somebody's got to say, hey, that's shit. That's just shit. You know what I mean? In my opinion, right? And it's all part of the fun. It's all part of the fun, right? But yes, I absolutely can enjoy things for the sake of the enjoyment. Patrick Hartnett says, Dave, honestly, how low are your expectations for kills? Mine are very low in terms of my expectations of Halloween kills are neutral. They're not high. They're not low. They're just sort of neutral. And again, I'm not saying that I'm old. I'm not, but I don't know if it's my age, but, being in my 40s now, but I just sort of feel that, you get to a certain age, and those guys and gals in the chat room will probably be able to relate that when a movie comes out, you're just kind of like, cool. Okay. And that doesn't mean that you're not excited or there aren't certain trailers that you see where you're like, oh, dude, that looks so awesome, right? But then as quickly as that comes, you walk away going, okay, we'll see. It's like the Candyman, right? The Candyman trailer that was released yesterday. I had people that were like, holy fuck, did you see? Oh, fuck, whoa, fuck. And that's great. God bless them. That's great. But for me, I'm just kind of like, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, or shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. It's just one of those things where I just, I like watching a good trailer. The Candyman trailer was a good trailer. It was good. It was good. It was just as good as the Us trailer. And I wasn't a big fan of Us. So there's nothing that I'm seeing in Candyman that makes me want to get overzealous and just ridiculously excited. I see it and I go, looks promising, looks good, especially in the world of horror. There's a great, and I'm paraphrasing this, but he's absolutely correct. And this isn't personal. This is just it's just the way horror is and how it's very niche and it's very acquired. John Carpenter said this, and he's absolutely right. Most horror, and again, I'm paraphrasing what he said. Most horror movies are garbage. He's right. When you think of all the horror movies that are released over the years, most of them are dog shit. Most of them. And then you have, some that are not bad. Some that are not bad. And then you have a few that are really good. Really good. And then you have even fewer, like a select few that are fucking amazing. That's just the world of horror. So just statistically, the vast majority of horror movies that are released are going to be dog shit. Different levels of dog shit. Some are like, holy fuck, that was a stinking pile of rotten. And then some are like, whatever, right? So it's not quite, but it's not like, woo, you know what I mean? But very rarely do we see a horror movie where we're like, whoa, now that was fucking awesome. Do you know what I'm saying? Or even different levels of that. I mean, maybe that's too extreme, right? Maybe it's just like, what, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. I mean, very rarely do we even say that about horror movies. Usually a horror movie comes out and you're like, fucking shit. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It happens all the time. So when I see a horror movie coming out, and yes, Jordan Peele is talented. I really enjoyed Get Out, but I didn't like Us as much as I enjoyed Get Out. And I know he's not directing Candyman, but he's, has a hands-on producing role in it. And here he is. Okay. And it looks promising. It looks like a Jordan Peele horror movie, which could go either way. He's 1 for 1 as far as I'm concerned. So, or sorry, 1 win, 1 loss. Yeah. 1 and 1. So, and when I say loss, I don't think Us was garbage. It's not like I think Us was crap. Us for me was one of those ones where I was like, okay, so it was okay. It was all right. It wasn't as good as the hype, in my opinion. So it's just one of those things. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I try to. My expectations are just sort of neutral now. I get excited when I see a good trailer and I'm like, oh yes, and then I'm like, okay. I reserve judgment until after I see the movie. It's just because I've been burned so many times. And the job of a trailer, now that doesn't mean that some trailers don't look like ass, because that does happen, but the job of a trailer is to make you go, oh, do you know what I mean? So, it doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day. There could be some cool things that you see, but we got to see it in context in a 2-hour or a 90-minute thing. And, so my expectations are just, they're not high. They're not low. I want it to be good. I really want Halloween Kills to be good. Of course I do. I'm not one of those, no, I want Halloween Kills to be good, but we'll see. We'll see, right? We'll see. Terrell Sim says, at Dave Mcrae, I hope Candyman isn't the Invisible Man, if you know what I mean. It's not true to the original. Yeah, who knows? We'll see. But the Invisible Man is getting great reviews. So that makes me excited because you know what? I think Lee Winnell, who's the director of that movie, is a pretty talented dude. He did, of course, Upgrade. I think he directed Insidious 3. if I'm not mistaken. Hey, Google, who directed Insidious Chapter 3?
Insidious Chapter 3 was directed by Lee Wanell.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. So, and Insidious Chapter 3, although not nearly as good as the original Insidious, which I think is brilliant, actually. I mean, not like, wow, but you know what I mean? It was, I mean, for modern horror movies, it was like, oh, this is good. You know what I mean? And of course, James Wan directed that. Lee Wanell is in that movie, and I think he also co-wrote or co-produced Insidious. Same with The Conjuring, I think, anyway. But Lee Wanell's been working side by side with Wan. They're good buddies. And when I watched Insidious, I didn't like Insidious Chapter 2 as much as I liked the first one, even though Wan directed that one. And it was about, I don't know, 2 years or so ago, Insidious Chapter 3 was on Netflix. I was like, well, let's check this out. So I watched it. And, I was like, this is not bad. Like, it was a lot better than I was expecting it to be. I don't think it's as good as the first one, but it's on par with the second one. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just kind of like, oh, interesting. And then, Lee Wanell did Upgrade. It's like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Whoa. And now the Invisible Man's getting like, I'm thinking to myself, people start saying, hey, James Wan he's the horror guy. I don't know, man. I think his buddy Lee Wanell might be coming up. Now there's no doubt that Lee's not going to stay in horror, but I'm hearing good things about, so that's good. Anytime a horror movie can get good, reviews, that's a good thing, man. That's a good thing. Yeah. Hey, super chat comes in from Cale Hensley. Thank you. Hensley, sorry. Thank you, Cale. Says, hey, Dave, I feel like H Kills, Halloween Kills is the most important film in the new trilogy. H was okay, but I feel like H Kills. Yes. Yeah. Whenever you make a sequel to a successful film, if your goal is to do a trilogy, the next movie essentially always becomes sort of the most important film, but you take it one step at a time. Even though Halloween 2018 is a direct sequel to the original, it's really what David Gordon Green and Blumhouse are doing here really is creating a trilogy. And arguably the most important, now again, I don't know how they've set this up. I don't know if by the end of, I would assume that's how it's going to play out, because as I said to you, apparently all three movies take place in one night. So even though movies in a trilogy have 3 acts within their own movies, in the broader picture, each movie is, at least should be its own act per se. So the H-18 film is act 1, even though there are 3 acts within that, film as well. H Kills should be the second act, and H Ends should be the, Halloween Ends should be the third act. The second act is usually the darkest for our protagonists. It's usually where they face the most resistance. We learn more about them. That's where the more of the development is. And it usually doesn't end well for our protagonists, because it's the third act where is the redemption, where they've begun to learn the lessons that they faced in the second act, and we get to see them rise and have some sort of redemption. Now, this is not a set in stone rule. You certainly can have variations of, but that is generally how 3 acts go. And if you deviate from that, Last Jedi, it causes it throws the whole equilibrium and momentum off. It feels strange and weird. So yes, I mean, now that H-18, Halloween, 2018 was successful. Now, you may not have liked it, but it certainly is the most successful slasher film in the history of motion pictures, made over $250 million at the worldwide box office. That's the bottom line. That's what they care about the most. And thankfully, it received, for them, fairly positive reviews from fans and critics. Okay, so it's a win-win all around. So now this next movie is the most important movie, right? And if they can nail that, then the final film becomes, right? So it's just sort of in order, right? But because of what's at stake in the second act, it's almost even, it's very, very important. If this second act fails, then your redemption then you end up with the Rise of Skywalker thing. right? The second act of the Star Wars trilogy, the sequel one, is weird. I don't know what this is. It's not the second. It's not how you construct a second act of a 3-act play. It's weird. It's disjointed. It's strange. It's tossing everything out that was set up. It's just, it's weird. And then you get the Rise of Skywalker. And that's what happens when you fuck up the second act, is that the Rise of Skywalker feels like it's 2 movies in one, because it is. The Rise of Skywalker feels rushed, because it was. Palpatine came out of nowhere, because he did. Because don't blame JJ for that. Should the Rise of Skywalker been 3 hours long, maybe to allow for some more, breathing room? Yes. Should they may have spliced it into 2 extra parts, and even though they're breaking the tradition of the trilogy, make it, episode 10 a nice round? So yes. Would it have felt more organic? And yes, but they didn't do that. They didn't allow them to do it. So you got a 2-hour and 30-minute movie, or whatever it is, of 2 acts essentially. So, you don't fuck that up. You gotta allow. Yeah. So, yes, it is. It is the most important film at this moment. I could go on and on. I gotta shut up, Mcrae. Jesus. Tabitha Short. Hey, Tabitha's talking to, oh, good. Tabitha's monitoring the situation and talking amongst herself in the, not amongst herself, but to everybody else in the room. Did I miss any super chats? I don't think I did. No, okay, just the one. Okay, good. Just want to make sure I miss any. Let's see, 128 people watching right now on this Friday. Let's see here. The Artisan says, at Dave Mcrae, do you think Lori had too much blood on her arms in that one still of her on the stretcher from Kills? I think so. Kind of overkill. Looks fake. Well, I don't know. It depends on she definitely had a lot of blood. But I think that's why, yeah, no, it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. If her face was all bruised and swollen, blood all over her face, I might be like, what? Like, since when did that happen? But that doesn't bother me though. It didn't. She was bleeding clearly at the end of the film, and then of course there was a bit of a drive to the hospital, moving her around onto the stretcher, some blood seeped out a little bit. It doesn't really bother me. I get what you're saying though. Totally get what you're saying. Hey, you're up there. I thought you were down here. I totally get what you're saying. Maybe I should move let's move myself over there now. Hey, here we are. Straight on. Super chat from Frank Riker says, Dave, if Halloween 4 was remade and updated without seeing Halloween 2018, would it have worked? If Halloween 4 was remade and updated without seeing Halloween 2, do you mean like if Halloween 4 was updated, if Halloween 4 was remade and updated without seeing Halloween 2018? Frank, do you mean like if Halloween 4 was remade as a sequel to 2018? Because that wouldn't really make sense. Just trying to clarify what you mean. Like separately, do you mean? I think any of the sequels could, yes. Oh, as separately or as a, well, if they just remade Halloween 4, yeah, you don't need to see Halloween 2018 because it has nothing to do with that timeline. It's a completely different timeline. So would it have, oh, I see, oh, without seeing, like, do you mean instead of Halloween 2018, if they had just decided to do part 4, maybe? Separate. Okay. Yeah, it would be all in the marketing, really, at the end of the day. I don't think so. I don't think it would have, actually, because you wouldn't be bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis. You wouldn't be bringing back, Nick Castle, per se. John Carpenter might. It was a very sort of swan songy, nostalgic thing that they did. I don't think it would have. I think it would have been cool for fans, but I don't think it would have been as successful as Halloween 2018. I think it would have been an awkward way to start, an awkward area to start. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say no. Kathy Aaron said, Ahern, am I saying that right? Hopefully I'm probably not. Hi, Dave. Love your channel. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. Really appreciate that. Jeremy says, Dave, have you seen the Trick or Treat Studios Michael Myers figures? And if so, do you have any thoughts on them? I have seen them, and they look really cool. My first thought is not, here's my thing. My first thought is never, oh my God, yeah, I can't wait to get that. My first thought is, oh my God, if I get that, is it going to look like that? Am I right? Because these are not being mass produced yet. Remember, these figures are going to be mass produced. So that means that now that doesn't mean that they're not going to pay attention to detail and try to deliver the best product possible. I'm not saying that. But, when you are mass producing a product, you generally can't, take your time and apply the nuances and details that you would if it was independently made. That's why to this day, that's why when people buy the Trick or Treat Studios masks, generally, if they can afford it, they ship it off to the independent guys who then rehaul it for them to make it look better. It's not that the Trick or Treat Studios masks are not good. Look, the Michael Myers masks have come a long way. I mean, if you're my age, you know that there was a time when, well, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking like 25, 30 years ago. Now, I mean, I would give, even as is, a kid growing up, right, I would have given anything to have any of the Trick or Treat Studios Michael Myers masks, even the ones that I think are kind of not that good. I would have given anything to have those 25 years ago. But when you look at what the independent guys are doing, and you look at what Trick or Treat Studios is doing, even though they're official, it's mass produced. So they have to dish out as many as possible in a short period of time. So you sacrifice quality for quantity. And but the base of what they're delivering is pretty good. So then you ship it off to a rehauler, and they can make it look all nice and whatnot. And the same thing's going to happen with the characters, with the figures. Now, I highly doubt people are going to be getting the figures and shipping them off to somebody to rehaul them. But I'm just saying that when there is when a company decides to showcase new merchandise that is coming out, that they're going to be having in stock, they showcase I remember when they showcased when NECA. Do you guys remember this? When NECA showcased their Halloween 2 figure, do you remember when NECA showcased their Halloween 2 figure? It looked fucking spectacular. The Halloween 2 figure that you can get now from NECA it looks fine. It doesn't look nearly as good as what they showcased. I don't know if you remember that, but you can get the Halloween 2 NECA figure. I think it's NECA, right? I think it's them. And it's fine. It's fine. Look, it looks fine. But the mask doesn't look, it looks like Halloween 2, but it doesn't look nearly as good as the one they had out to showcase, right? Their prototype, essentially. Well, even beyond that, because it's way better than what even a prototype would be. So when I look at the Trick or Treat Studios figures, yeah, they look fucking amazing. But is that exactly what I'm going to get? Or am I going to get it and I'm going to be like, well, yeah, it's the same figure. Yeah, but I can tell that this was, do you know what I'm saying? And again, I'm not saying that that's what they're doing. It's my illustration. Obviously, there are people that are making this, but they have to make as many as possible in the shortest period of time. So, I'm skeptical that I mean, look, even the part 4 and the part 5 figure look fantastic. I'm just hoping that they all look exactly like that when we get them. Now, again, if it's a little bit off, okay, not a big deal. But I don't know. That Halloween 2 NECA figure, I was all for it. I was like, oh, fuck, I got to get that. And now I look at it, I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. I wish I had enough. I thought I should take the original release of what it was going to look like and what it looks like now. And you can see that it's like, oh, it's a bit different. Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember that or not, but anyway. But yes, I mean, I would love to have them. I would absolutely love to have them. Intel Wild says, Dave, I would even take a Halloween 4 one and and a Halloween 5 one. I would. I'd take it. And then I'd get the Halloween 1 and I would do I'd have them all have like a fight. Fuck you, man. Come on, man.
Trick or treat, motherfucker. Fuck you, man. Come on.
That's what I would do. Intel Wild sends in a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says, Dave, just my opinion, but I think the still photo from Kills showing the sexy nurse shooting a gun is definitely Julian's mom, and she's probably a cop. Well, she's definitely that sexy nurse, or the nurse from the sexy outfit there from the first film. Whether she's Julian's mom, I don't know. Has it been confirmed that is Julian's mom, or are people just assuming it's Julian's mom because Julian's black and the nurse is black? Okay, those are two different things, people. Just because the nurse is black and just because we see somebody babysitting a black kid in the movie and she was going out with her husband doesn't mean that is Julian's mom. It could be, but I don't say yes if you're just guessing. All right. DMT Infinity says, Dave, do you like the first couple scary movies? The first one I thought was funny, but I haven't seen any of the others. Jeremy says, yes, I agree. They are mass produced, so they're not telling you how good they look, but they do look good. Well, they do look good. Like the examples that they showcased at that event look great, but they're not all going to look that great. You know what I mean? Because they have to dish them out as quickly as possible. I don't mean to suggest they're going to look shitty. I just mean that, when you are making something to showcase, you're there and, they have weeks to do this and really, and months maybe, but now they're making them as quickly as possible. So I think you're going to inevitably lose a lot of the detail, not a lot of the detail, but some of the nuance in the detail in mass-produced items. Did I miss any? I want to make sure. No, I got him. Yeah. Why buy a mattress anywhere else? If you're Canadian, you know that. Duke Fleet says, Dave, do you prefer Hereditary or Insidious? Ooh, two different movies, man. Both I enjoyed very much. Hereditary is very psychological. Much more psychological than Insidious. Insidious is psychological, but it's more of it's about, they're two different movies. I would say that Hereditary I'll just say this. I like them both very much. Hereditary has more of an independent sheen to it, more maybe creepier, and Insidious has more of that Hollywood sheen to it, but both are very good. Both are very good. Let's see here. Patrick Hartnett says, as bad as it is, does H5 feel more like a Halloween movie than H18? No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I would say that Halloween 5 does it feel more like a Halloween movie than H18? I don't know. I mean, certainly you have Dr. Loomis in there, and always having Dr. Loomis helps. So it has that going for it, which of course Halloween 2018 did not. So it all depends. But I don't know. I mean, I really don't like Halloween 5. So and there were things in H18 I like. Overall, it probably does feel more like Halloween. Yes, if we're just basing on the feeling you have when you're watching it, probably. David Ferguson says, how do you think they will get around the fact that Julian will look a bit more grown up in Halloween Kills now that there is 2 years between the movies and H Kills place? Well, that's a good point. Definitely they're about not quite 2 years past, but close to it, about a year and a half past. Julian will be older, but I still think he's young enough that you will be able to believe that he is the same age, the same night. You'll probably notice subtle differences. But it's not like his voice is going to be, be down here or something like that. Or, I mean, he'll have aged from like 8 to like 9.5, or something like that. However old the kid is. If they had waited if they had started shooting this year that might be a bit problematic, but, and I would be surprised if he was in Halloween Ends. But maybe he will be. Maybe he's just get killed. I don't know. Who knows? Let's see. Sober Dragon First says, who else thinks Matthew Gray, Grubler could be good in horror? I don't even know who that is. No idea. But anybody else think he'd be good in horror? Let us know. Let us know, ladies and germs. Aaron Zukowski says, hey, Dave, what would be your dream voice acting job? My dream voice acting job? Oh, boy. Well, I would probably say, I wouldn't say that this is a dream voice acting job, but I would say that my career has been mostly in the world of movie trailers, network promos, and commercials, whether that's radio, TV, or internet. That's sort of where my bread and butter has been through most of my career. And then about 4 or 5 years, but I'm a very theatrical guy, right? I love doing all sorts of voices and crazy shit and and things like that. And I've been wanting to get into more animation. And so I have 2 agents here in Toronto, one that handles my trailer, promo, and commercial work, and then one that handles the animation side of things. And over the last couple of years, I've started to get into more animation, which is great, which has been a lot of fun. I've had a ball doing it. And I would say that for me, I wouldn't say this is a dream job, but this is something I definitely would like. I would say that to be involved in an animated cartoon from the ground up. In the animation that I've been involved with so far, I've been like in Fireman Sam, which is a British cartoon originally that began decades ago as stop animation. Now it's computer generated. Anyway, they about 4 or 5 years ago, they brought it over to North America, and they wanted to replace the British accents with American accents. So they hired a bunch of Canadians, but more of the neutral North American accent kind of thing, right? So I got to play Gareth Griffiths and Chief Fire Officer Boyce or whatever in I think the last 2 or 3 seasons that they did of that. I was doing that when they brought that over here, because there was another actor who was doing it before me, and then he sadly passed away. His name was Joe Marsh, and he passed away. And Susan Hart, who's an Emmy-nominated casting director here in Toronto, who I know very well, she's awesome to work with. She emailed me and said, "Dave, Joe's, would you like to?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So I stepped in for Joe. And so the last 2 or 3 seasons of that, I was playing those 2 characters, which I had a ball with. And then I guest starred on about 6 or 7 episodes of Doki, which is a children's TV show, cartoon, which I had a blast doing. And then the other day, I think I mentioned that I was actually part of a cartoon called Worry Eaters, and but it never came to fruition. It was going to be sold to Nickelodeon Kids. We were doing it from the ground up. Amazing cartoon, like so much fun. But there was a drama behind the scenes. I'll just leave it at that. I don't know the fine details, but in terms of the producer and the animation house and all that kind of stuff, there was just, politics, right? Had nothing to do with the voice acting. But I was really excited about that because I was in on, it was like my own show kind of thing, right? Because I was in from the ground up, and playing all sorts of characters and things like that. And we did the whole first season. I think Jacqueline McEwen, I don't know if she's watching. She asked, I saw it scroll by and I forgot to answer it. My apologies, Jacqueline. She asked if I still got paid, even though it was never picked up. And the answer is yes, absolutely. You always get paid. When you do the work, whether it goes to TV or not, you always get paid. So yes, I did get paid for it, but it kind of sucks because it never, like we did the first season, they had 5 seasons to do, and then there was drama, and it just, I don't know what happened. So, so that was really crappy. So I would say that although it's not a dream job, I would say to be in that position again and to be part of a show from the ground up, you know what I mean, would be a blast. That would be a blast. You know, working with the actors and the director and all that. I mean, it's just so much fun to do, and it's a lot of hard work. Animation ain't easy, but it's a blast to do, and it's hard work, but it's the hard work you love. Do you know what I mean? And so I would say that. And then you know, but dream job, I don't know. I've never really had one. I've sort of just gone with I just want to be working. I want to be, as any actor will tell you, they want to be working, doing good stuff. You know, doing and see where the chip. I mean, we all kind of, I'd love to do that, or, you know, I'd love to do that. But working is really important, and just consistent work that you know, keeps you working at the highest level in your business, and that's the most important thing. I certainly would not turn down a Pixar film, but you see, with those high level animated films now, because it's more a business now than it's ever been, they don't usually hire the professional voice actors, which is ironic. They hire actors, A-list actors, because of the marquee, because of the name. Now, that doesn't mean that there are not some A-list actors who are pretty good voice actors, right? I mean, Robin Williams was a fucking genius, but Ellen DeGeneres had no business being in Finding Nemo. Now, did she do fine? She did fine. But she wasn't put in Finding Nemo in 2003 because she was she was perfect for the part. No, it's because she was Ellen DeGeneres, who just launched a huge popular talk show. Put her in the movie. People are going to go see it, right? And that's how that's why you get people like Alec Baldwin and Brad Pitt and, you know, and all these people that are not voice actors per se, but they're actors, but it's the name, right? And it didn't used to be that way. 30, 40 years ago, it was not that way. But unfortunately for for the pros, you know, with big animated films, it's always the A-list actors. And then the professional voice actors who are trained in this area, are the ones that you hear on, like, you know, Teletoon or, you know, Nickelodeon, or, you know, all the big TV show cartoons, you know, Warner Brothers, Bugs Bunny, Daffy. I should get, you know what? That would be fun. I just thought of this. I should get Eric Bauza on the show. Eric Bauza is a Canadian from Toronto. I've talked to him a couple of times, and he's the new voice of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. And I would love to get him on here. That maybe I should get him and Bob Bergen on here. Bob Bergen's the voice of Porky Pig, and have them. That would be so much fun. Would you guys like that? That would be a lot of fun. I could always reach out to them and see if they would do it. That would be a lot of fun to do. Man, that would be so much fun. And they're so good. Eric is so good. Proud Canadian, buddy. He's so good. But yeah, anyways, I went on and on and on there. But yeah, I would say that just to be part of something from the ground up in the world of animation would be a lot of fun, for sure. Yes, do it, Dave. Do it. I'll try. I'll reach out to them. Eric and I follow each other on Twitter, so I can just maybe send him a message saying, Eric, you know, I know you're a busy dude right now doing your, you know, Warner Brothers shit, but it would be so much fun to have you on the show, and maybe he'll do it. We'll see. Tigerman says, would you like to see a remake of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle? Ooh. You know, I think The Hand That Rocks the Cradle would be an interesting remake. Misery? Misery's tough, man. Misery's tough. You know, Kathy Bates, Academy Award winning Kathy Bates. She won her Academy Award for that role. Listen, you can remake anything, and if it's good, it's good, right? You know, but I think you would get more. I think you'd get more people being attracted to the idea of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which is a great early 90s movie, over Misery. Misery feels almost like, really? You know what I mean? Frank Riker says, and thanks for the super chat, Frank. Really appreciate that. Do you think people buy Michael Myers merchandise as an investment or as a true collector? One of my prized possessions in the, is the Screamin' Models Michael Myers figure. Also, do you remember Rick Moranis playing with his dolls in Spaceballs? Oh my God, yes! Rick Moranis playing, yes, of course. Knock next time. What did you see? Nothing, sir. I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. Oh, fuck yeah. I love that scene. I also love the scene that's like, what the hell am I looking at? When does this happen in the movie? Now. Everything that happens now is happening now. What happened to then? We passed then. When? Just now. We're at now. Go back to then. When? Now. Now. I can't. Why? We missed it. When? Just now. When will then be now? Soon. That's right. I know it off by heart, bitches. I might have missed a word here or there, but that's pretty much it. I think so. No, I think the vast majority of people that collect, it depends on the level of their collecting, right? Like this here, and this is nothing compared to some people, but clearly if you see this, okay, he's a bit of a collector. He's a fan. But the average person who has maybe a t-shirt or something like that, I would probably say no. But usually usually people who have a significant amount of shit like you, Frank, I know, you got your shit too. Yeah, but there's different levels, right? Like how there's different levels of fans. There's sweaty, hardcore fucking nerds that eat up everything. And then there's the casual fan. And then there's the, pretty hardcore fan, right? And then there's different levels to these things, right? There's different levels to nerdom. There's different levels to geekism. There's different levels to fandom. There's different levels to collecting. You have your hardcore, oh my God, I literally drive my own version of the Batmobile to work fan. Like he's got a fucking, Tim Burton's Batmobile. He just drives around pretending he's Batman. There's that fan. And then there's me, you know what I mean? And then they're like, you know what I mean? But, I think they're all fans. I think so. Super chat comes in from Intel Wild. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate that. Michael stares at her and she stares at him when she is getting in the car. He is going house to house, and her house is next to where Vicky is babysitting Julian. Again, I gotta, maybe you've seen the movie more than I have. But to be honest with you, I remember the scene you're talking about, but I couldn't tell you where Vicky or where Julian's house is in the neighborhood next to where everybody else is. I just didn't pay that close attention, I guess. So I'll take your word for it. Because I just didn't pay that close attention to where Vicky was babysitting, what house was next to where on the street. But then again, I have only seen the movie. I've only seen the movie. Watching the movie, okay, I've seen the movie 4 times, but 2 of those times have been doing commentary with you guys. So I'm watching it, but I'm not watching it. Like I'm reading comments, I'm doing this, I'm talking to you. I'm doing like 3 things at once. I've only watched the movie twice. Once at the world premiere and once again in Hollywood with Lewis from the Nerd Report. So the day before it actually opened. So that's it. So there's things that I probably just didn't pay attention to. So I'll take your word for it. Let me see. Jordan Stevenson says, whatever happened to Judith's boyfriend from the original Halloween? I don't know. Maybe he makes a comeback. Maybe he makes a comeback in Halloween Kills. I don't know. Would he be a good character to come back at Halloween Kills and Ends? Maybe after the night. I don't think it's necessary. I really don't. I don't know what sort of value he would bring to the table. That's the thing. I don't really know what value he would bring to the table. He wasn't there when Judith was killed. So he has no personal experience with Myers. And I don't get the sense that Judith and her boyfriend had been dating long. I don't get the sense that, they'd been together for 2 or 3 years. I get the sense that this was somebody that she was maybe hooking up for the first time that night. Slept with the guy on the first date. Come on. It happens. Especially when you're a teenager. But I would say that maybe it's more, and again, I'm not saying that was the first time that they had met, but maybe they'd been dating a week, maybe, right? You know what I mean? Maybe they'd gone out on a couple of dates or something, and I just don't get the sense that this is her long-term boyfriend. You know what I mean? So I don't know what value he would bring to the story. Like I said, he wasn't there when she was killed. I mean, what, he shows up just to say, yep, she had great tits, let me tell you. I mean, what? I mean, he doesn't have any personal history. He wasn't there, so I just don't, it would just be, If I was in the writer's room and somebody said, let's bring back that guy, I would say, no, let's not, because it's completely pointless. Whatever happened to him? Well, presumably he heard about the death. That sucks. That was awful. Moved on with his life. And by the time 1978 rolled around, he was, I don't know. Now, I mean, I know you could say, well, maybe he wants revenge. He's upset that Michael killed his girlfriend. I don't know. Does he seem like the kind of guy that would be upset? I mean, he might be he would be shocked. Oh, shit. Oh, my God, that's awful. Well, it's a good thing I got it in before it happened. He just seems like a bit of a douche, right? Will you call me tomorrow? Yeah, sure. Promise? Yeah. Leaves. He doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care. Does he care? He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of thinking that maybe, just maybe it's just, I don't care. That's me anyway. Frank Riker sends in a super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says they recently found the station wagon from H1 and taking on tour. If you had it, would you use it for your films or sell it? I would. Well, I'd probably hang on to it for a bit. Definitely use it in some sort of Halloween fan shit that I was doing. You'd have to use it. Would I sell it? Depends on what I could get for it. Depends on what somebody, everything has a price, right? Everything has a price. It's just what is somebody willing to sell for it? If somebody, I'll give you $20,000 for it, I'll probably keep it. I'll give you $250,000 for it, I might sell it. You know what I mean? Who knows, right? Or I might hold on to it for a bit and see if it increases in value. I don't know. Maybe sell it to a collector who's willing to pay good, handsomely. I have to be honest with you. I was shocked to learn that they found it. And I was actually, my first thought was I was skeptical. I was like, fuck off. The station wagon, it's still around. Because my first thought was this was a low budget independent movie made for nothing. What the fuck is that still? Why would that still be around? Now, the same model, the same make? Yeah, I could believe that. Somebody still has the same model and make, sure. But literally the same one that was on camera? At first, I found it incredibly difficult to believe. But I read the article, I read the information, and apparently that was the exact one. It was restored, and there it is. The cage was put back in and all that, and now it's going on tour with Nick Castle. And it's like, all right. Well, not on tour with Nick Castle, but it'll be at some of the conventions that Nick is at. And I'm like, well, okay, you can get your picture taken in it. And I'm like, okay, but it just, I don't know. I was skeptical. I don't know. Was anybody else skeptical, or was I the only one that was skeptical? I just found it kind of, I was like, really? And I'm not saying that they're lying. I just was like, wow, that's because it was a nothing movie. It was a nothing movie. And what I mean in terms of like, it was made for $320,000. It was a low budget independent. What the fuck is that thing still do? Why would somebody still have that? Like, why would somebody still have that is my question. Unless you say, well, because Halloween. Yeah, but you'd have no, Halloween was so, yeah, I guess. I just think that we would have heard about this sooner. It feels like out of all the years, 40 something years, we're just hearing about this now. It just seems like shouldn't have this been out there in the ether like 25 years ago when Halloween was a big thing? I don't know. But I'm not saying it's not legit. I read the article. I will take, okay, it's legit. That was just my first reaction. Kind of funny. Let me see. Rick Baker says, are you a fan of the famous Canadian voice actor Paul Soles? I loved his work in Spider-Man 67, of course, Rudolph. Paul Soles, yeah, legend. I'm not going to say I'm a fan, but certainly I'm not a fan. Do you know what I mean? But definitely he is, one of the legends. Absolutely. And God, when did he die? Jesus. Because I think he's dead now, right? He's not still alive. He died did he die in the 80s or 90s? Oh, no, he is still alive. Wow, he's 89. I thought he had passed away. He's still alive. Very cool. For some reason, I thought he'd passed away. Paul, if you're watching, my apologies. I'm not dead yet. Yeah, he was great. He is great. He is great. Yeah, for sure. AK says, well, will we get scenes of Michael driving in it in Halloween Kills? Stop at McDonald's. No. I don't think the station wagon is going to be in the new movie. It's just it's on sort of, it'll be at like conventions for you to get something to get your picture taken in. I know you're kidding, but I'm just saying somebody might actually think, hey, I wonder if they are going to do that. It's like, no, they're not going to do that. Nept Man says, hey, Dave, what are your thoughts? What are your top 5 Myers portrayals? My top 5 Myers portrayals? Well, first is Nick Castle. Second is probably up there. Is probably Dick Warlock, but just for nostalgic purposes. James Jude Courtney is there. And then it just kind of falls down from there. Probably George P. Wilbur would be next, but the George P. Wilbur from 4, not 6. And then after that, probably Brad Lorre. Lorre, am I saying that? From Resurrection, probably. It's hard to get past some of those films and look at just the portrayal, but I would say that. Jason Knight says, one of my favorite animated movies was when I was a kid was The Secret of NIMH. Yes, me too. Me too. The Secret of NIMH. Oh, I love that movie. It had Dom DeLuise in it. Yes, it did. Good old Dom DeLuise. Captain says, Dave, do you think we will get Uber Jason in Friday the 13th game? Maybe. You never know. It's possible. Third Man says, what is something you want to see in Halloween Kills that Halloween 2018 was missing? I need exactly what you more nuance with the character of Myers, more of the lurking, ominous suspense presence there. And definitely a chase scene that is suspenseful and yeah, just thrilling to see. That's one thing I definitely want to see for sure. Hashtag Psycho Goat Ferguson says, Dave, James, Jude, and Halloween 2018 was great. Great Michael since Nick Castle, but he was 6'3". Why they didn't get someone to play 5'10" like there's? Well, because I think in a lot of cases, directors have visions. And when you sit down and write, it is far enough removed from the original that, it's all about having an ominous presence. Remember that Nick Castle was not handpicked to play Michael Myers in any sort of official process. The official story goes that Nick Castle knew that his buddy John Carpenter was making a movie down the street. And they both went to film school together. And Nick wanted to be a director, which he eventually did become one. He made a couple of movies, right? More than a couple of movies. And he was hanging around on set. And John Carpenter said, well, listen, Nick, I mean, if you're going to be here every day, why don't you just throw on the mask and be the guy? And it was like, all right. I think he got like what, $20 a day or something like that. So it was just sort of like, Nick will do. He's an average just guy. And I think that's sort of, but now, I mean, you jump ahead and you're saying you're doing, I think Michael himself, the character of Michael over, the shitty sequels has become something bigger than even what Nick Castle has done. And I think, directors want the presence and the size of Michael to reflect, they want the size of Michael to reflect the unspoken ominous presence that's lurking in the shadows, and that's why they hired James Jude Courtney. Would I have hired James Jude Courtney at 6'3"? Probably not. But a lot of what you do is all in how you shoot the film, right? He's not 6'8" like Tyler Mane. He's 5 inches shorter. And that can make a difference. But Jamie Lee Curtis is a tall woman too. I think what is she? She's 5'8", 5'9"? She's quite tall. I believed it. It's as tall as I would go. But thankfully, they didn't have any issues. Thankfully. But really, I mean, right or wrong, whether you agree with it or not, it's because of David Gordon Green's vision. That's what he thought of when he wanted somebody of that size to portray the Shape. So that's what they got. But in the original, it's not like John Carpenter was like, we need someone who's 5'10" to play the Shape. It wasn't like that. It was just, hey, Nick, because Nick, he's not tall, but he's not short. He's kind of, average, right? She's like, hey, Nick, why don't you throw on the mask? You're here every day. Throw on the mask and play the guy. And that's just how it came to be, And even, Nick Castle has said, I even asked John, like, how do you want me to walk? What do you want to do? And he was like, just be yourself. Just walk. Just walk. So there was really Nick wasn't really doing anything but being himself. Now, did he bring certain things to the character? He did, like the sit up very like this and the turn. Absolutely. 100%. But yeah, it wasn't as calculated and as, thought about as it's sort of, people think it was because of how, it's become such an iconic thing. Nept Man says, Jamie is 5'7". Oh, you put shoes or boots on her, she probably could be 5'8" or 5'9". 5'7". Yeah, I guess I could believe that because I'm 5'8", and when I saw her at the premiere, she was in heels, though. She was about my height. Maybe actually just a smidge taller. Yeah, I can believe that. She looked great at the premiere, too. Sexy as ever. She looks fantastic for her age. Michael Dean says, Dave, do you think they're making Halloween Kills and Ends because Halloween 2018 was a success? Or was that the plan all along? No, they're making it because it was a success. Yep, 100%. 100%. If Halloween 2018 had made only $40 million at the box office, you would not be getting a Kills right now. Jonathan Nichols says, thoughts on Rob Zombie doing a Texas Chainsaw remake? I think he's made for the series and could bring it back to the tone of the original. Just let someone else write the dialogue. I would love to see his take on a Texas Chainsaw. Now, they are doing a sequel to the original film. They're sort of, Halloween 2018ing that franchise. Whether it will be successful or not, who knows? Rob Zombie, I don't believe, is attached anywhere near it. But I've often said that, if there's any horror movie that he would be ripe for, it would be something like a Texas Chainsaw. And unfortunately, it's kind of sad in some ways because I think Rob Zombie is very talented. I do. The unfortunate part is that he's just an exploitative mess. I mean, I just don't understand. And this is not really a compliment. It's not that these films don't have their place, and it's not that I don't think exploitative films or art house films or, experimental films don't have their place in the industry, because they do. But when people say that Rob Zombie would be perfect for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I agree, and I get what people are saying, but I don't necessarily think that's a full-on fledged compliment. If you think about it a bit harder, what's one of the identities of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Is they're traveling through Texas and they stumble upon a fucking low-life, hick, bottom of the barrel, swamp feeding, scum sucking, IQ of like 3, set of people in a family. And that's like, Rob Zombie would be perfect to direct that. Like, is that really a compliment? You know what I mean? Because that's all he has in his movies are scum-sucking, low-life, bottom-of-the-barrel feeding. Like, and it's sort of like, hey, Dave, you'd be perfect for this. I don't know. Maybe Zombie doesn't give a shit. But I'm just kind of like, yeah, hey, let's get Dave Mcrae. He's perfect to direct scum-sucking, bottom-of-the-barrel feeding IQ of 3 people, or create those characters. I mean, he's perfect. He lives in that world. That's what he does. And it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of true, isn't it? I just don't see it as a compliment. Like, you're not wrong. You're absolutely right, 100%, right? But at the same time, it's kind of like, it's kind of a backhand compliment, in some ways. I think Rob Zombie would be good for something like that because he has the directing sensibilities of that kind of environment. But you're right when you say he would have to reel in that dialogue a bit, because even though the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is dealing with the, bottom of the barrel, you don't want to go too far where it becomes distracting. You know, it's still got to seem realistic. It's still got to seem genuine. You know what I mean? But yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah, it's kind of a backhanded compliment if you think about it. Super chat comes in from Gustavo Moreno. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Thank you, buddy. Really appreciate the support to the channel. Morning, Dave. Which scene from the whole Halloween franchise do you think is the most iconic or memorable? Oh, dude. There's so many. But for me, one of my favorites is the sit-up. It's the sit-up and the head turn because it's just, I mean, just when you, I mean, nowadays you expect that kind of thing. Nowadays you can see that coming a mile away. And it's not that nobody saw it coming in 1978, but it's 1978. And, you know, when that happened in 1978, I mean, people lost their minds. You know, it was a different time. People were more naive. People were more ignorant, you know, and it's not that we don't have, you know, naive and ignorant people today because the internet is full of them. You know, I mean, it's, you know, it's all over the place. But in 1978, I mean, it was a different world. And when you watched a movie like Halloween in 1978, it scared the shit out of people. And that moment when Nick Castle sits up and turns his head is iconic. And what makes it so iconic too is the creative. It's this subtle creative choice that people don't, that it doesn't get enough credit for. In motion pictures, there's something called a rack focus or to pull focus. And a rack focus is essentially, you know, let's say I'm in the foreground and everything behind me is out of focus, right? And then what they do is they rack focus or pull focus, and suddenly I become out of focus and everything in the background becomes in focus, right? So the focus just adjusts, right? You just go whoop, whoop, like that, right? You see it all the time, right? Well, that was an opportunity where they could have done that, right? Jamie Lee Curtis is in the foreground. She's clearly in focus, right? Michael Myers sits up behind her, turns his head. You could have pulled focus at that moment to suddenly, there he is, right? They didn't do it. They didn't do it. He remained out of focus, you know? And there's so many, I love that. I love that because he's still this shape, what is that back there? Obviously we know what it is. He's not that out of focus. I don't mean he's all blurry. I don't mean that, but he's out of focus. He may be what we would call a soft focus. So it's very soft, right? And I love that. And because there's still that disconnect to the audience. And so I really, I mean, there's a lot of iconic scenes, the phone scene, you know, the bush scene. I mean, God, you know, in Halloween 2, him coming out of the darkness to kill, you know, the nurse with the needle. It's like, oh, just seeing that is the most Halloween 1 thing in Halloween 2. Fucking Dean Cundy right there for you. I'm just trying to think of all the later sequels. There's a few other things, but I mean, there's things like that, right? But the sit up and the head turn was just so like, oh, that's fucking creepy. Like what? It's so robotic and methodical and not human. You know, I love it. I love it. So for me, that's got to be it. That's got to be it. H4 ending scene. Yep. That Tiger Man says H4 ending scene. That's a great one there. That's iconic as well. Even the ending of the original film, right? Looks over, he's gone. No. It's great shit, man. There's a lot of great stuff in there. A lot of great stuff in there. Vanderhoff, 66FU, sends in a super chat and says, Dave, do you think the timeline is off in H18? Lori is 150 miles away at Smith's Grove, and then she's in Haddonfield having dinner not too long after. That is a very astute observation. Very astute observation. That is something that's good. That's very good. Do I think that? Well, let's see. Let's see if we can justify this in our own minds, right? Okay. Well, it gets dark in October a lot earlier, right? So do we know what time the prison transfer was? He was being transported at 7 a.m. So that's when she was out there. Okay. Transport was in the a.m.? 7 a.m. Okay. Well, 7 a.m. The Midwest, would that be still? It would still be kind of, well, yeah. Okay. It probably wouldn't be as dark as it was. You'd probably see a little bit of light. You'd probably see a little bit of light at 7. But 7 a.m., and let's say he was being transferred at 7 a.m. Okay, let's say it was actually 6:30 in the morning that he was being, because he was being loaded on early, right? Maybe the bus was going to leave at 7 a.m. So you see him being transferred onto the bus with the other patients. Maybe that's like 6:35, 6:40. They're signing some things. I could totally believe that was very early in the morning. Very early in the morning on the cusp of maybe the sun about to rise another, half hour, 40 minutes later. I could buy that. And then she drives back to Haddonfield later in the day. And she's late for dinner because she's always fucking late. She's an alcoholic. And maybe she went home, slept it off, got up in the afternoon, was like, oh, fuck. You could probably justify it. You could probably justify it in your own mind. That's funny, though. That's funny. I didn't think of that. That's a good little detail from the original film. Now, for Christ's sakes, Haddonfield's 150 miles away. He can't drive a car. Well, he was doing very well last night. Maybe someone around here gave him lessons. Maybe you gave him lessons, Dr. Wynn. Did you give him lessons? Maybe it was you. Doctor, it wasn't. Shut up. It was you. You gave him lessons. I didn't. Shut up. Super chat comes in from Joshy Russell. Thank you, buddy. He says, Dave, can you do the keys? Oh, the keys from 878. You done it a while ago and it cracked me up. Hope you are well, pal. Yes, the keys. Oh, the keys. Oh, the keys. The keys. There you go, buddy. He paid for it. I got to do it. Chris Baber sends in a super chat, says, if you had to reboot or direct only Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, how would you approach it? Well, I would approach it by expanding on the mythology. I would watch the original, and I would take the really interesting aspects of the original and make notes of what those interesting aspects are, but are still left, but I feel haven't been explored enough. And then I would sort of recreate the foundation of Season of the Witch from that standpoint. So kind of go from that standpoint and build it up from there, expanding on the mythology that they had already sort of begun and created. Neil Rook sends in a super chat, says, just boiled the kettle. Can I make you a cup of tea? Yes, make me a cup of Java, man. That's coffee, isn't it? Tea. I fucking hate coffee. I do like tea, though. Ryan Kinney says, you should definitely watch Michael Myers Gets Driving Lessons by Adam Green. I've seen it. That's an old one, isn't it? If it's the one I'm thinking, it's like, God, 10 years old or whatever. The horror movie fanatic says, he's talking to somebody. Good stuff. Good to see you guys talking. Frank Riker says, you missed my super chat, buddy. Oh, did I miss it? Let me go back. Did I miss it? I thought I got everyone's. Oh, no, you're right. I did. Thank you, Frank. Keep it on top of things. Frank the Tank, folks. Why did Michael go nuts at the end of 6 if Wynn is controlling him? Is it that the evil cannot be controlled and would like to see Danny be the new Shape? Well, I think you probably hit the nail on the head. Now, again, I don't watch 6. I haven't watched 6 in a while. And but definitely Danny, kill for him. Danny is definitely being groomed to sort of take over in a lot of ways. And fuck, that's such a shit show. It's so bad. It just ruins everything. I would say that's probably it. And Michael's just pissed off because he's like, fuck that, man. Michael's pissed off. He's like,
fuck you, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Fuck you, man. Come on.
That's what Michael's thinking. He's like, what the fuck is going on? I've been killing you. I've been killing for fucking, you fucking those kids gonna fucking. He's pissed off, Frank. He's pissed off. That's what it is. He's pissed off. All right. We'll go. Yeah, let's keep going. Let's go another 10 minutes. Take this puppy to 12:30, folks. Let's take this puppy to 12:30 here on this Friday. All Q&A, answering your guys' questions. Hope you're having a rockin' Friday, you bunch of crazy bastards, you. Ryan McHenry says, hi, Dave. In Halloween 1978, when Loomis and Brackett went to Michael's house and had found the mutilated dog, was that the same dog that Michael strangled while he was watching Annie? No, No, I don't. I don't think so. Does that happen before we see Lester or after Lester? It's actually a good question, but I don't think it was the same dog. Even if I'm trying to think now whether that scene happens after Lester or before, but the chat room will definitely let me know. But let's hypothetically say that it happened, that the Lester scene was before. So you could draw that parallel and say, oh, maybe that's Lester in the house, right? I don't get the impression it's supposed to be him. I think what it is sort of just, it's just a dog in the neighborhood, that's just kind of, because the Myers house is nowhere near, well, not nowhere near, but it's not like it's right next to the Wallace house. So I just get the impression that it's just some dog, it's just some dog that just, he ate because he was hungry. So it wasn't Lester. And that's great theater of the mind, isn't it? Isn't that great? It's purely on the performances, right? There was no dog. Obviously, there was no dog, but there was no carcass of a dog. We never cut away to see the carcass of a dog. We never saw a mutilated carcass of a dog. We never saw anything. We just saw, literally, Dr. Loomis and Sheriff Brackett looking past the camera going, what is that? It's a dog. He must have got hungry. Could have. Man wouldn't do that. This isn't a man. That's it. They're just looking at each other, looking past the lens of the camera. There's nothing. And your mind fills in the blanks. Ooh, fuck that. You know what I mean? Every time that scene happens, do you not picture some sort of mutilated dog in your head? I bet you do, don't you? Oh, you fucking do. You fucking do, and you know it. Love it. Love that shit. Obviously, for budgetary reasons, that probably was a factor. But still, it worked. Sober Dragon First says, Big Dave, would you like to see Bray Wyatt have his own horror movie? Bray Wyatt? Who's Bray Wyatt? I don't know who Bray Wyatt is. Let me look up the actor. Who Bray Wyatt is? Don't know who he is. Bray Wyatt is an American professional wrestler. Oh, that's probably why I have no idea who he is. I don't watch wrestling, so I have no idea who Bray Wyatt is. And looking at him, I still have no idea who he is. So I couldn't tell you. Sorry about that, buddy, but I just don't know. I don't watch WWE wrestling. That time for me is come and gone. I'm in my 40s now. Although there are a lot of guys in their 40s that I guess still do watch it. Danita Brown says, have you seen What Lies Beneath? And what do you think of Harrison Ford's performance? It's one of my favorite Harrison Ford movies next to Indiana Jones. Danita, I absolutely agree with you. What Lies Beneath is an extremely underrated thriller from the year 2000 starring Harrison Ford. If you've not seen it, I won't spoil it for you, but certainly it is a great Harrison Ford performance. There's a specific reason why he took on that role. And one of the most fascinating things I find about that movie is it was directed by Robert Zemeckis, of course, of Back to the Future, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Forrest Gump fame. Castaway as well. And what's so interesting about that movie is that him and the crew, the crew that shot What Lies Beneath is the same crew that shot Castaway. Robert Zemeckis and the crew were shooting Castaway. Then they got to the point where they had to break for about 6 to 8 months because Tom Hanks had to lose all that weight. And in the time that Tom Hanks was losing his weight and growing that long beard, Robert Zemeckis and the crew went and made What Lies Beneath. And then when that was done, they went back and shot the rest of Castaway. I'll never forget that. I thought that was so interesting. And because he said that what was so difficult about it was, you know, when you are shooting a movie, your energy and your passion, your mind and your creative ideas are all fully invested into this project. And then you cut for like 6 to 8 months or a year or whatever it was. And then you have to go and put that same emotion, that same passion, that same emotional creative investment into a completely different project. It's like you got to change gears all of a sudden on a dime and go do something else with the same crew. And then you got to go back to the other thing. And I was like, I've in my own life, I've had similar things where that's been the case. So it's kind of funny, like, in a very micro level, I've signed on to play, Freddy Krueger in Dylan's New Nightmare, right? And I'm passionate about it. I'm emotionally invested in it, and I get excited when I'm talking about it. And I remember there was a day where I was having a meeting with Cecil, who was filling me in on certain things, and we're talking. I'm there, and I'm like, yes, Freddy, Dylan, New Nightmare, Freddy. I'm totally into it, right? And then an hour after that, I'm switching gears, and I'm having a production meeting with Bruce about It's Me, Billy, which has nothing to do with Freddy. And now it's like, and I'm not even in that movie. I'm directing. I'm writing that. It's a completely different mindset. And it's like, I got to leave that. It's weird to kind of switch gears on a dime and move. It's so strange. But anyway, a little bit of anecdotal trivia for you there about Castaway and What Lies Beneath. But yes, What Lies Beneath is awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Danita. Let's see here. Super chat from Vanderhoff's 66FU says it was 7 p.m. She was interviewed in the day. It was 7 p.m. was it? Okay. I'm glad somebody remembers because I don't really care. I mean in the sense that I haven't seen the movie enough, right? There are some people say, I've seen it like 10 times. Like 10 times? I don't think it's got that much rewatch value, but maybe it's because I'm that old guy that says, get the fuck off my lawn now. I don't know. 7 p.m. Okay, it was 7 p.m. Well, if it was 7 p.m., but wait a minute. He wasn't being transferred from Smith's Grove. He wasn't in Smith's Grove Sanitarium, folks. He wasn't at Smith's Grove Sanitarium, was he? He wasn't. He was at another sanitarium. He wasn't at Smith's Grove. So he could have been fucking 10 minutes away. Somebody probably said that in the chat, and I completely missed it if somebody did. Yeah, he wasn't. When we're introduced to Dr. Sartain and Michael, that's not Smith's Grove Sanitarium, is it? I don't think it is. It's a completely different place. So he could be like I said, 20 minutes up the road. The chat room's gone silent. They're like, oh yeah, wait a minute. I got to check that. Everyone's checking it. Gary Ringel says, it was 7 p.m. He was in Smith's Grove because the podcaster says we're at Smith's Grove Sanitarium. Oh, really? They said that? At the hospital in the beginning of Smith's Grove. Oh, really? It is? Oh, see, there you go. It's like, okay. He was being transferred to Smith's. Wait a minute. He's being... now I'm confused. I have no idea what's right. We got some people saying they said we're here at... Gary Rangel says it was 7 p.m. He was in Smith's Grove because the podcaster said it was at Smith's Grove Sanitarium. We got other people saying it was Smith's Grove. And then we got Frank Riker saying he was being transferred to Smith's. Nept Man says, isn't it Warren County? I don't know. I have no idea. The hospital at the very beginning of the movie with Michael standing on the checkerboard. Is that Smith's Grove Sanitarium? Let's, you know what? Let's do this. I'm going to do this here. Halloween 2018. I'm going to open the movie here. I'm going to go to the beginning of the movie and see what they say. Here we go. Let's see. All right, 1 second. Let's see if it's Smith's Grove, folks. I'm listening to Dr. Sartain chat. What's the chat room saying? Totally Smiths Grove, being transferred to Glass H Hill in Colorado. I love how there's so many people saying different things. There's Dr. Sartain. I'm listening to the music. Testing. Okay, here we go. Yes. Okay. So she says we are now at Smiths Grove Rehabilitation something or other. Okay. So it is Smiths Grove. They are at Smiths Grove. Okay. So they are definitely at Smiths Grove. And if it was 7 p.m., if it is the same Smiths, she says Smiths Grove Rehabilitation Center. Well, regardless of whether it was Smiths Grove Rehabilitation Center or Smiths Grove Sanitarium, because they might be two completely different things. It's at Smiths Grove, which presumably is some sort of town 150 miles away from Haddonfield. So, and if he was being transferred at 7 p.m., then that means, I don't know, might be a bit of a plot hole. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Who knows? Troy Stacha says Lori never specified AM or PM. She just said tomorrow 7:00. The fights are on. Everybody's fighting in the chat room. It's 7 p.m. It's 7 a.m. It's Smith Grove. It's Smith Grove Rehabilitation Center. It's Smith that's sanitarium. Maybe the name was changed. Maybe it's the same person. I love it. Joey Copeland says, Dave, shave off your beard and growing a nice mustache and look like Dr. Sartain. Maybe I will. Or maybe I'll grow a big handlebar mustache. That's what I'll have here. Folks, I could grow this in like the 9th grade. Like I was one of those guys that I was like, 13 and I looked like I was like, like now. And I had one of those, hey, what's going on? I could do that in like the 9th grade too. It was hilarious. Frank Reiger says daylight savings, maybe, folks. Well, that definitely probably plays a part because it's October 31st. It's Halloween. Whether it was daylight savings or not, it's supposed to be Illinois. It's the Midwest. Okay. So it's October. It's the fall. There's no doubt that the sun sets at probably about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So if it was 7 p.m., it would have been dark. The sun probably doesn't rise until, well, it was probably 7 p.m. 7 a.m. seems funny to me, to be that dark at 7 a.m. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe, who knows? That's funny though. Super chat comes in from Universe Gaming, says Dave, Myers and Laurie both die in the final scene. Allison is seated near the window learning about fate as she sees Myers, blinks, and is gone. What's that supposed to be from? Leading to the audience have doubt whether the shape's alive. Allison planning and then it sounds you can't kill the boogeyman. And playing and then tricks and then hear little Tommy saying you can't kill the boogeyman. Is this like your idea? Is this your idea, Universe 7 Gaming? Or is it a spoiler? If it's a spoiler, you're a douchebag and I'll block you. But if it's not a spoiler and it's just your idea, then just at me and say, no, I was just talking about my idea. Always make sure my thoughts on his ending. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, make sure you always put that because if you just kind of start right into it, people might mistakenly think that you're giving the ending away of like Halloween Kills. You know what I mean? So always make sure to say, hey, here's my idea for the ending. So we kind of know right off the bat. That's interesting. Vanderhoff 66FU says it was 7 p.m. because the bus crashed in the dark. That's a good point too. That's it right there. That's it. So it had to be 7 p.m. because you're right. The bus crashed in the dark. And then kept going. It was like Halloween night, right? Yeah, exactly. It was 7 p.m. So I think we've nailed it, folks. I think the opening of the movie takes place at Smiths Grove, okay? Whether it's a rehabilitation center or the sanitarium, or maybe the rehabilitation center is part of the sanitarium, that doesn't fucking matter because it's Smiths Grove. And Smiths Grove is apparently, according to Dr. Wind at the beginning of the original Halloween film, was 150 miles away from Haddonfield. So how she made it, unless they're having one of those late dinners. I mean, how long would it take you to drive? 150 miles with, let's say, little to no traffic on just an open sort of, 2-lane highway, right? Going from one town to the next in a rural sort of area. How long would it take you to drive 150 miles? What, a couple hours? So maybe they're having a late dinner. Do we know if it's a late dinner? Maybe it's like, maybe they, got to the restaurant at 7, chit-chatted, food came at 8, 8. They had, maybe she didn't show up till like 9 o'clock. I don't know. I'm trying to justify this, but I have no idea. No idea. It certainly wouldn't have taken like 5 hours. You certainly could, about 2.5 hours. Yeah, exactly. I think it probably was a mistake. Not a mistake. It probably was something that they didn't think of that. You know what I mean? But I think you could justify. You could justify it. 7 p.m., she gets out of there, let's say 7:15. She shows up, let's say at, 9:15. They're already done dinner. Yeah, maybe. It's a bit of a stretch, but it's a maybe. It's a maybe. I can't believe we're actually fucking talking about this like it's like real life. This is so funny. Okay, let me see if I just missed these super chats. I don't think I did. Did I miss any? I don't think I did, folks. I don't think I did. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me here on this Friday. You guys are amazing. Thank you for joining me here on this Q&A. Again, if I didn't answer your question, it's nothing personal. You know me, I like to yap and I'm thorough with my answers. And we had there's 155 people watching right now. And of course, the super chats, obviously, I have to answer. But I appreciate all the questions. You tune in all the time. One of these days, if I haven't answered your question yet, there's no doubt I will definitely answer your question one of these days. You guys are all part of the Mcrazies that we are building here on this channel. And I will be back Monday. I may have a standalone video I might upload this weekend too at some point. I might not. All depends on what happens. But I will definitely be back. Oh, look for those of you that are not part of my Patreon, tomorrow night, the live feed is only live for my patrons, but I am doing my Saturday movie night tomorrow night. And that's live for level 2 and 3 on my Patreon. But look for the live the feed to be open to everybody once the live feed is done. Probably around, 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that tomorrow night. I'm watching Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. So at some point tomorrow night around 9:30, 10 o'clock, somewhere around there, you'll see a video pop up on my channel. That's a Saturday movie night that was live for my patrons, my level 2 and 3 patrons, and I'm watching Freddy's Dead. So that'll be interesting. And then Monday night, of course, is episode 59 or 60 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this channel. And so that is going to do it for me, guys. Great talking to you. You guys are awesome. Thank you for supporting the channel in the ways that you do. And thank you for tuning in and talking movies with me and asking questions and trying to, and getting my thoughts. I love talking to you guys. I love giving you my thoughts. Even if we don't agree, it's okay. Even if we don't see eye to eye, that's okay too. And remember, don't let the trolls get you down. Don't let the people who take to the comment section, don't let them get you down, right? Walk out there, be proud, put a smile on your face. You're all part of the family. But every now and then, even big families like ours, folks, even big families like ours, have some fucking assholes, right? Am I right? Even a big family's got the black sheep who walks in and thinks everybody gives a shit about them, and they don't. And that's just, this is part of it. It's part of it, right? Why be a dick when you can be, well, not a dick? This is what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? All right, folks. You guys are amazing. And I'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Have a great weekend if I don't talk to you before Two Dudes on Monday. Have a great weekend, but I might have something I'm uploading. We'll see. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Cheers.